Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris, in my temporary new digs. Yes, they are orange and green. I don't ask. Yeah, long term reason.
Someone won the Powerball.
Someone won the Powerball and moved upstairs. Moving on up to the. Is this the east side of the house? I think too. Right. So, all right. Before I yell at Wheezy, with me today, I have two wonderful co-hosts and friends, James and Mike. How are you guys doing today?
Although I was banned from going on my 20-minute politics rant from the election yesterday, so I guess.
Man, that's a separate podcast.
I guess we're moving on.
Separate podcast. I gave you guys a warning. It's going to end the way Infinity War did. Yeah, I didn't hear me.
No, it's not. It's pretty much straightforward.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the fight in Georgia again, which means another 2 months of politicking, and they're gonna depend on Stacey Abrams like she was Iron Man in Endgame. Gonna go down to her, begging for her help, while she figures out how to change time, space, get everybody to vote again. Man, just put her in the presidential race, please. Someone smart, someone I like to listen to. All right, what we are going to talk about today is apparently something I spent 2 weeks not researching, and that's some Star Wars.
Star Wars, what name?
I shouldn't need to research Star Wars, right?
As I drink from my coffee mug.
I know. I noticed the Vader.
Right. Yeah, all my little Star Wars stuff is out of view right now. You'll have to wait till I get it actually set. But anyway, so we are talking Tales of the Jedi.
6 episodes. It's like a mini
Disney Plus.
So this is a 6 episodes animated series on Disney Plus, and my IMDb is not coming up to me.
It was like 6 episodes of between 12 and 20 minutes. They're like
there it is.
I wouldn't call them micro episodes like the micro series was. They're mini episodes.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, they're definitely feel like leftover episodes from Dave Filoni's vault, as they are basically related directly to the Clone Wars, in timeline order, stretching from the birth of Ahsoka all the way to the death of Qui-Gon Jinn, and after the Clone Wars, whatever, directly after the Clone Wars.
It's a follow-up with Ahsoka right after season 7, yeah.
Right.
Which was really nice. It's a nice lead into the Ahsoka series coming up, right? So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was surprised because I was surprised they decided to do it the way they did, because it's 3 episodes, dealing mostly with Ahsoka or starring Ahsoka, and 3 episodes starring
Qui-Gon. It was good to see Qui-Gon again.
Count Dooku, and all 3 were interesting episodes, but because they're in timeline order, it goes back and forth between them. So I thought that was a very interesting choice. What did you guys think overall of the series? And what did you think of the choice to kind of do timeline order instead of just going, here's 3 Ahsoka episodes and here's 3 Dooku episodes? Because it's not like they mix. It's not like at one point they intersect, and so you had to have them in timeline order.
That's like typical Star Wars style. We're cutting from one plot line to another, right? If you put this together like a movie, you know, you got different plot lines, different action sequences going at the same time, etc. But I did enjoy this series a lot. Like, when I heard about this one, I was like, okay, some extra footage, whatever, you know, some... I was thinking more... I actually thought more of the line of, what was it, Visions, right? Where it would be unconnected stories and just, you know, whatever.
Oh, okay. Good point.
Yeah, this was totally just connected. That's what I'm saying. It felt completely like it was like, connected. This is stuff Filoni... This is definitely what they wanted to tell. They couldn't find the spot in the regular series, and they are allowed to make 6 episodes. It's in the same style. It's
Yeah,
all
so
the
that's
same
what
voice
surprised me though,
actors.
because when I
So
first heard about it and I heard
yeah.
Filoni was doing it, I was like, all right, Filoni saw visions and was like, hold my beer, I can do that too, right? But then he came out, this came out. Yeah, I
But this
guess,
is
right?
Filoni's
So,
version of that,
but
as
yeah,
far as
thoroughly
he
impressed,
goes.
especially like after the first episode, I was like, meh, maybe this isn't going to be that great, but you know,
That was the weakest episode, by the way. But
it was good. So
Mm-hmm. James, go ahead.
I think for this show, first of all, the format didn't bother me, like Mike said. What I
come closer to
very
the mic a
much
bit.
liked,
Yeah, there you
what I very much liked is the fact that there's more about Count Dooku that I didn't realize I really wanted to know that I
go.
enjoyed from
Yeah.
the show. The Ahsoka, I think Ahsoka, great character. I love her. We love her. Nothing new came out of this show that benefited her character. She has her own spin-off show. Looking forward to it. Great. But to see the Count Dooku Mace Windu episode, to see that
Yeah.
interaction, to see the Count Dooku Yaddle episode, there's a lot of like nuggets of great storytelling in Star Wars lore that I never even considered. Because, honestly, I've read all the books, watched all the movies. I didn't care much about Count Dooku until Tales of the Jedi, and it made sense how somebody was supposed to be an aristocrat, Sith. I mean, sorry, a Jedi master would turn dark because he saw what we all watch when we watch the prequels. Why are the Jedi so freaking dumb? Like, what's going on? There's corruption happening left and right. We're like the SWAT team for like we're basically the SS for the
Uh,
Nazis, you know. And again, I'm not saying I agree with Dooku,
Oh wow.
but it made sense when you see these
No,
episodes.
you got to agree with
No,
Dooku a
a
little
little
bit.
bit, but it was great. And then that episode with Yaddle, which was a meme within Star Wars lore itself because we seen her in after
Attack of the
no, even
Clones.
before that with the burial of after Qui Gon died, she was at a
Ending.
funeral
Mm-hmm.
on
Okay.
Yabu, and then we
Oh,
seen her again in Attack of the Clones, and then that's it. You never see her again. That was
right.
That was
yeah,
great.
Silent.
Yeah, that
that was
was
my son's
great.
favorite
Yeah,
episode we
and
watched together. He loved that episode.
Bryce Dallas Howard
I
voiced
did
her, by
not
the
know
way.
that.
For those who
Wow,
don't
she's
know. Yeah.
And I read that because she's like 400 years younger
yeah.
than Yoda, who's robbing the cradle there. Because she's so much younger, that's why Yoda speaks so differently. Just he
Mm,
speaks kind of old English version of their
I
Weak
also
language.
read
explanation,
though
but
there
I
was
get it.
another article. I don't know if one of you guys sent it to me. It was about him paying homage to one of his masters or something. One of the old masters that
It
spoke
wasn't for
that way
me,
as well.
but
I don't know.
I guess
yeah,
probably all
I mean,
guesses.
Chris, you answered your question.
Yeah,
I thought the format was great. I was more focused on the Count Dooku episodes than Ahsoka, and I enjoyed the hell out of those episodes.
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
Well, for anybody who hasn't sat down and watched all of the Clone Wars, I've watched like the first 3 seasons and the last season. I haven't watched all of them. Or for anybody who hasn't watched any Clone
Oof.
Wars but wants to know Ahsoka a little bit before going into her series,
Yeah.
this is a very easy 45 minutes for those 3 episodes where you can say, okay, this is who she is. This is where she grew up. This is what it was like being under Anakin Skywalker, and she's a tough
It's
ass
still tough.
Jedi. There you go.
I mean, I'm
There's
not
your
going to
there's
disagree
your
with you, Chris, but I think
uh,
it's
uh,
tough because
Ahsoka for
Ahsoka is a
dummies.
huge character
Yeah,
in Star
it
Wars.
is. It is a very
Yeah.
basic Ahsoka for dummies because there's so much.
There is,
Like,
but like not everybody's going to sit down and watch the entire Clone Wars.
yeah,
Let's
but it's
just be
not just Clone
honest.
Wars. She was in
Rebels,
Rebels, right?
Right.
Mandalorian.
And she
Yeah,
gets one
and the other
episode
one,
in Mando. One
huh?
episode of Mando.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine, but let's talk about Dooku a bit because I agree with James here in that he definitely had the better episodes, though I have some things to say about Ahsoka. And since Andor exists, okay, so Andor's
Best
sitting out
show
there
on
like this
Star Wars planet
giant,
ever. TV show that is.
like this giant,
Meh,
like a
eh.
giant I don't
Give
know
me
what to
Power
It's a
call it
Rangers
black hole
on
because
sucking
it's
everything else around
Tatooine
it.
any day.
it's a positive thing, but it's
Mm,
so different. So it, I don't want just photocopies of Andor with other
I
characters.
agree.
But seeing how gray Dooku
Mhm.
is, I want the depth we're getting with Andor
With
with a
I
Dooku
get that, and
series.
I hope we'll get that. I think there'll be Tales of a Sith. This is me speculating. We got Tales of
Well, we're
Jedi.
getting the Acolyte. I know it's a different
Right.
time era, but
mm-hmm.
that'll at least give
You can't
us
get that with
a
Tales of the Jedi.
Sith
With the
view
Jedi,
main
Chris, with the
character.
Jedi, you can't get that because how indoctrinated they were religiously. You can only get that with the Sith, where it's like dark
Right.
Palpatine to gray, middle-ish Dooku. You could build a series around those characters. Well, not those characters, but like that universe as good as Andor, with certain
Yeah.
characters who fluctuate back and forth. That's my belief.
So just something I want to say in general, as this discourse has been happening about how great Andor is, and all the rest of Star Wars sucks, or whatever happens to whatever people are saying, and I just have this thing that's been going around in my head that when Star Wars started, when George created Star Wars, he was a kid of the 50s,
Mhm.
right? And
Mm,
he wanted to create something like himself as a kid would have wanted to see, but in space, right? Swashbucklers,
Lightsabers and
westerns,
fast
samurai,
forwarding.
right? All of that stuff. And he made a very great adventure tale that had very black and white ideals and was anti-war, just kind of in the sense that, yeah, these guys are the bad guys, don't worry, the good guy's going to win, which is great. That's how it started, and that's great Star Wars. So that's why something like um, Mandalorian works great. It's a great Star Wars layer
mm,
because
yeah.
it doesn't have to go deep. Star Wars isn't necessarily automatically deep, but no one's ever done something like Andor. So this is why, and I know people who love the Clone Wars will say, "Oh, we did it first." I don't
No,
think
not the
I don't think you're
same.
quite
Yeah.
as deep.
Not on
And
that
and,
level.
and,
No,
and
Not
you
at
I
this
and
wouldn't.
I
level.
are huge Clone
Yeah.
Wars fans who watch the whole thing, but that's nothing
Mm.
compared to what Andor's doing. Let's be honest, it's not.
So I think the idea that we can see this depth work inside of a Star Wars, but now layer on the mysticism, the force and the politics. Now you got force and politics
Yeah, and
and
Chris,
all
I'm
that
telling you, it
stuff
only
layered
works
on
with the
top of
dark
each other,
side. It won't work with the good side.
because then you can take a whole religious angle versus, overt
Right.
religious angle. It could be amazing. And I think watching these, I was like, Dooku's the guy, man.
So
Dooku's
we're
got
agreeing. You know that we're agreeing.
that.
You made Dooku.
Yeah,
What made
I'm
Dooku
completely agreeing. I was watching
so
this.
interesting is because his character in the movies was like kind of shallow. Like it was like, oh, master,
Hmm.
whatever. He was Yoda's apprentice. It, and
which is
the
which
actor,
is
by the way,
generally
Christopher
a
Lee,
very Star Wars
huge
thing.
actor in
Yeah.
horror movie back in the day, huge.
Hmm.
Right.
And for him to get that role, he was doing it straight out of his acting acumen, not so much the character. So if we want to do something like Andor with like any one of these Sith users or Force users, it's got to be the dark side because I don't think there's any good characters other than Ahsoka who fluctuates between good side and bad side. It's gonna make it as entertaining because if you watch Andor, and I know it's not an Andor podcast for review, is the good guys actually go to the dark
Two
side
weeks.
a lot, and that's not the Jedi way. That's not the
Uh
Jedi way. So, but we digress tremendously.
Yeah.
and
It's. I
I
wouldn't
think they
call it
could.
dark side. I'd call it by any means
And
necessary.
that's either
So,
gray or dark
you know.
side.
Hey,
Yeah. So.
use the tools of
Yeah,
my
we can't
enemies.
do
Right.
something like Tales of the Jedi with the Andor caliber of work with just like regular Jedi. It's gotta be, we gotta go left. I mean, their version of left.
And this is what I'm saying. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay that there are things that are surface level, fun, or more just
Entertain
classic,
like an
yeah,
adventure.
entertainment,
Yeah,
adventure
yeah,
entertainment. That is
right.
fine. That is very Star Wars. That's how Star Wars
Mhm.
started. But we also, I think a lot of people are seeing that Star Wars can be other things too. And up until now, it really
Yeah.
hasn't. I think we were all a little disappointed in Book of Boba Fett, which had some weird. Hey, we're gonna make the Sand People like real people. We're gonna give them some culture, and then we're just gonna
Yeah,
drop them like a rock. Like it's
right.
like, are you going deep or are you not going deep? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you doing silly little spins with your little scooters, or are we going to investigate this man's like near death experience? Take your choice,
Yeah.
one way or
So
the
that's
other.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah. So that was the problem with Boba Fett. Like I seemed to me they weren't sure where they were going, right? So, but I like what let's we go back to Tales of the Jedi. I mean, I like that they finally we got some meat on Dooku's
Yeah.
backstory.
I
It
think
was
all three
so
of us
interesting.
agree
It
on
was
that.
so
That we
interesting.
like getting more information about
Yeah,
Count Dooku.
and the only thing that I think was missing for me was like a little like some an Easter egg of Grogu somewhere. That would have been perfect for me.
No, I think
You
for
know,
me, is the fact that we knew Qui Gon was his pupil, his last pupil,
yeah,
and there was one episode that was devoted to that. But then Qui Gon is so important because we know Qui Gon's impact to not only Obi Wan but to Anakin. And I think we could have probably done an extra episode, make it a seventh episode, to show you the doctrine of Dooku and why it resonates so much with Qui Gon and why Qui Gon was the way he was in Phantom Menace. I mean,
and
mm,
this is why I think it was leftover scripts because there wasn't enough like, hey, this is to fill out this character. This felt more like these are parts of the character I wanted to tell during
yeah.
Clone Wars, but this isn't a whole like
Let's be
let's
honest.
get to
Do we need
know.
the whole baby Ahsoka episode, the first one? No. We could have got rid of that episode and give us something a little more with Dooku and Qui Gon, in my opinion.
But that's the thing. It's a 3 and 3. They're obviously important characters they want us to know more about. We know
yeah.
there's an Ahsoka series coming.
The
This
thing
tells
is,
me something more about Dooku.
yeah, the thing is, if you were to drop these into Clone Wars, they would basically, I think they would be wasted as flashbacks.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
putting them in as their own episodes, I think was
Agreed.
better. Because otherwise, how do you fit them in the series unless you drop Baby Ahsoka in as a flashback for Ahsoka, and then Dooku
Mm-hmm.
reflecting on his life, and you flash back to Qui Gon. Otherwise, you can't fit them in as single episodes.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean?
Yeah. Good
That's
It's
point.
kind
that's
of
probably what it was.
lost in the timeline there. So
Um, so, do you think we'll get more of this style drop-ins, a
I
couple
hope so.
Dude,
episodes,
I already spoil
information
it. I
filling
would
for the
love to
fans?
see Tales of the Sith with Darth Maul, Qui
Yeah,
Gon, and Count Dooku, Palpatine. Oh my God, we live in 2022.
they
We live
Early
in
should have
Palpatine.
2022, and I'm probably the only one here in this
I
cast
want
that
to.
read the
I wanted him
books.
to.
His story is
Yeah.
beyond interesting with what's happening in the modern world. That we
Mm.
should get an
I'm
episode.
telling you, you're gonna get Snoke instead. You're gonna get Snoke Tales
I
instead.
don't. And you know what? Chris is probably right. Chris is probably fucking right. But tell me, because in the books, Palpatine's rise as a political figure is really entertaining when the book came out 2016, 2015, even before the Trump. And it's interesting how he consolidated his political power by his Sith knowledge of people and human nature.
Mm. Right. So I do. I just want to say how great that Yaddle versus Dooku episode was when she found out what was going on, and it wasn't just like if you go back to episode 2, Attack of the Clones, when Yoda found him and they just had this fight. Because Yaddle was more like, dude, I understand your point of view, but you don't have to do it this way. I loved had that dialogue they had between them, you know, uh,
Hmm.
That
and
scene,
then
man. That
the
scene.
way she
That
We
relates
don't
was
go
to
to
that
him.
her
George for dialogue.
Erica's favorite scene was that, and we thought, I mean,
Yeah,
spoiler, right? We thought that first when the gate closed, we thought that was it,
The
the
door.
door, and then she comes back
right.
around,
Yeah.
and you see the fact that she better than Yoda still believed in the good side of the Force, is willing to die for it.
Hmm.
She also said that she had left the council for that
She
reason.
did.
So
Yeah.
it was a little pre-Ahsoka,
Which is interesting because I think the Tales of the Jedi
idealism.
painted Windu in a much more conservative. Again, not to get into politics, but you start to see on the planet there are how Count Dooku was realizing the corruption in the Republic, and then Windu was just being like the traffic cop. He was like, "I'm following the council." He goes, "So you knew you got
The
so."
Midnight Boys called him a
Yes,
cop.
yes, and I listened to that, and I'm like, he's right because I've never noticed the fact that Windu was so on the book about everything, except for the part about I don't trust Anakin. He's like, dude, that's your only contribution to the freaking Jedi Council, knowing that Anakin is going to be evil. No, what about everything? Every other atrocity. You were there in Clone Wars. In fact, you were more prominent than Yoda in the Clone Wars in the movies. Like
Hmm.
Dooku realized something was amiss, and Mace, being one of the two most powerful Jedi's in the universe, was just like following order, like just doing, And shout out to the Midnight Boys that did mention the fact that he was being a traffic cop.
I what I loved, probably the last episode since, what was it, the Visions, since Star Wars Visions. I've
Hmm.
wanted more of a wandering Jedi story. I
Yeah.
love that as one of my, the
Ronin,
wandering loner
Samurai
thing. I know we
Ronin.
got it at Mando. Yeah, yeah. Um, and one of the things I loved, and I love this, the one of the few things I loved in Obi-Wan, not few things, but one of the things I loved the most in Obi-Wan was the Jedi use the Force user versus someone with a lightsaber.
Hmm.
And though it was quick, it wasn't like a great design fight. It was really cool. I love seeing someone use the Force like that.
Right.
And Ahsoka was a great with a great usage there to disarm and
That was
make
great.
the
Great technique too.
what's
Yeah,
their names,
The
yeah.
Inquisitor. Yeah.
the
Superb fight
Inquisitors
sequence.
so far are like the worst. We had Disney has not, Lucasfilm, whatever, has not done a good job of making them
But the funny
scary
thing
if
is, they
you're
started
any kind of
being
a
like
Jedi.
this omnipotent group that was destroying Jedi left and right in the beginning, and then at some point, I think it was a creative decision. And Mike, you know this, you watch the shows as much as I do. I think at some point they started like defanging them and
Mm.
depower them. Like, yeah, these guys are way too OP. Let's start because
It was
Count Dooku in
basically
the
the night.
original Clone Wars was scary as shit. This is before the third movie came out, and then Obi-Wan was like, he was like asthmatic. He was like, ah, and then Obi-Wan was like, doo, doo, doo. But the episode of Clone Wars before that movie came out, Count Dooku was like Galactus in Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look more like the Knights of Ren than anything else right now. So we're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
need
telling you,
some.
if you ever played Fallen Order, the game, the Inquisitors in there, they kick ass, man. So they're way more powerful than
Yeah,
anything you
they
see on
they need
screen
to they
before.
need to scary them up, make them more powerful, make them more of an issue for people who aren't.
Right.
It's one thing to beat up citizens in a street. That's not scary if you're a Jedi.
Yeah.
You know.
My
So
only
Exactly. Yeah.
faux pas with Tales of the Jedi, which is our main focus. Love the show. Love the animation. I was waiting for Chris to talk about the animation. What I found weird was the fact that they didn't introduce to me a new droid character that I would like, which has been like the cadence of all Star Wars since A New Hope. Even
yeah,
Andor,
gotta have a droid.
B2 emo, love that dude. I was waiting somewhere, and Tales of the Jedi, they would introduce a droid. Like, ooh, that's the cool droid. I would love to see as a fun pop or toy. I didn't get that with Tales of the Jedi, which is weird.
No. I don't know. I've told you guys on chat that Clone Wars is not my favorite animation
Yeah.
style. I know
Right.
they've pretty perfected what they want it to look like. It's not that it's bad animation; it's good animation. It's just not my favorite style. I think the movement of the characters feels a little rubbery to me,
Yeah, I
and
see what you mean. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's
there's
not the
no there's
best,
not
but
a
it's
it
good.
doesn't
I mean,
feel
I like
very
it. Yeah,
I'm not gonna
powerful,
disagree.
but
I'm not gonna
it's
disagree.
just a personal thing. I don't want to hate on it because it's quality, but it feels it's like it's kind of in a weird spot for me. It's
if
like when I watch a lot of uh like 3D generated anime and it's really just
mm.
like this just doesn't feel right. This isn't working for me.
yeah, I was if they had kept that anime style, that animation style, and the story was shit, I would have stopped watching long ago. But because the
Right,
story
right.
was so
No, the story's
compelling,
good.
and
Mhm.
the way the series turned out to be so good, I
Mhm.
could put aside the not so great animation style.
Yeah, well, it's better than it was the original. Like, was it Not the Clone Wars series, the Rebels. What was the first animation series they
Clone
had?
Wars.
It was
It
was
was
it
Clone
Clone
Yeah.
Wars.
Wars?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Clone Wars had
Yeah,
like three
the
different
hand dance.
iterations of Clone Wars. It was the original one
Yeah, I
before
really I
before
hated those
Lucas
original
sold it to Disney. It
designs.
was that. Yeah.
Hmm. I could not stand that
yeah.
style
When they
at
were on
all.
Cartoon Network, they had
Hmm.
way less
Hmm.
money, right? So
Right.
once they came to Disney,
Yeah, it was
it
different.
was on. They
Yeah. They do good work with their stuff. They do quality. Um, you know, they do everything. The world is full. The world is
yeah,
full. The building designs, the ships, the world works really well. I'm just not a huge fan of the character, but Qui
yeah,
Gon's whoever designed the Qui Gon, I was like, holy shit,
I knew
that's
automatically
like the
as
yeah.
best
Qui
one
Gon. I
I've
had to
seen,
convince Eric that's Qui Gon, dude.
Right. That's
right?
what I did too. I looked at it. I was like, "Yep,
That's Qui
Qui
Gon.
Gon,
Yeah.
nice."
Holy shit, he's super recognizable.
yeah, yeah.
But
So
no,
definitely bring us more of this because I'm okay with that. Just
yeah, I sat down. I had a great time watching it. I was surprised
mm-hmm.
it was so short. I was like, "Am I missing episodes?"
Give us Tales of the
It's like
Sith,
six
man.
episodes.
Tell you, man, Palpatine in today's politics, there's so much they could freaking give us.
I they they obviously have a lot more in the tank. What are we looking at? We're looking at Mando 3, the Acolyte.
Yeah, I forgot about the
Yeah,
Acolyte.
Um,
Yeah.
Ahsoka's
Obviously
coming.
finishing off Andor. Andor is supposed to be several seasons long.
2 seasons
Ahsoka.
only for Andor, by the way. 2 seasons.
And then
Yeah,
we've got
season two is
movie
going to cover the
rumors
next 4 years.
spreading around.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
that's right.
they're finally feeling it enough to do movies,
High
even
Republic.
though
Yeah.
there was one that got canceled because the one Wonder Woman
Patty
director
Jenkins. Yes.
had to step out.
Rogue Squadron. Yes.
They didn't. Oh,
Rogue
Rogue
Squadron.
Squadron.
Yes.
Rogue Squadron.
Okay, so now you go and you grab all the people from Andor and you pick them up
Dude,
and
you
you
know how
lay
much
them up with a
we
whole lot
love
of
Top Gun
money.
Maverick. Get those guys and
Oh
Andor
man, a
and give
Rogue
us the
Squadron
Toke
Top Gun
Squadron.
style would be
Yes,
fantastic.
yes,
Show us the
yes, yes,
mission
yes,
that
yes,
they
yes,
really
yes.
had to go through. Fucking the can yo. Anyway, we're giving ideas that somebody's gonna make money
Yeah.
on.
There's got to be a million missions. There's got to be so many great
Yeah.
missions that you can have X wings going on and Y wings and
Where only one
whatever the
pilot
hell
Yeah, I
else you
mean,
want to
survives
put them
and
look how
on.
much time.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look how much there's a huge. I wouldn't say, well, not huge, but there is a big enough time period between
Right.
after Battle of Yavin and
Hmm.
to the destruction of Death Star 2, right?
Lucasfilm, if you're watching
So
right
we've got a
now,
lot, and then
reach out to the four of us. We can help you with your content.
even post Return of the Jedi, because you got a lot of restructuring in the galaxy going on.
Yeah, but that's
you
tough.
need
Once
Rogue
you get
Squadron,
post Return
right?
of the Jedi, you fall into the
I
The
know. I
yeah,
know.
Yeah, but now imagine like a group stuck on a outpost hears about the downfall, and then they decide to just attack somebody, and then there's just a giant dog, like just random violence in that
yeah.
kind
But
of
it's gotta
time
be. It
period.
gotta have stakes. That's
Mm.
why. Yeah, it's. Yeah. I like the original idea of like.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it doesn't work as a series, just as a movie.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's gotta be like these are the pilots that
I
were
don't know.
chosen to fly the Death Star, and this is what they had to go through, like Top Gun Maverick style. All right, so are we gonna let's grade
All right,
the series. Let's do it.
yeah, let's go ahead and grade them. Uh, what do you got, James? What's your grade?
Okay, I love the Dooku series. I wasn't a fan of the Ahsoka part. I'm gonna go with a B minus. B minus.
Oh
What?
wow, a lot lower
Yeah, have
than
you
expected.
heard B
What'd you say?
minus?
Don't be
You
B
minus.
know
minus.
why?
Okay, I thought you said C
No,
minus. I
B
was like,
minus
what?
because I'm still got Andor in my
Okay.
brain, and yeah, dude, B minus.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Mike.
I know what Star Wars
So for
can
me, it's
do,
gonna be a little better.
so B minus.
Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but for me, this was better. This was a perfect companion series to the Clone Wars series for me. You know, let's drop in some additional storylines. Great kick-ass fight with Ahsoka at the end. Great stuff with Yaddle and Dooku. So I'm gonna go A minus on this one.
A minus.
I'm going.
Fuck.
I'm going B plus. Like you said, it is a companion piece, but they are. It's a very 101 to these characters that might show up soon in other media, and I think the voice actors did great, especially the Dooku guy,
Oh, real quick, voice actors. You
really
mentioned it,
nailing.
Eric, and I agree with him. Hated whoever actor was playing Mace Windu. Terrible, because Sam Jackson is so much Mace Windu. I don't care what black actor they found. It is terrible hearing that voice in the 2 episodes we got of Mace Windu.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Even though I'm not a fan of the style, I think it's really good. They spent the time with the animation. It's not like they threw these out the door with nothing in them. I think they did a great job overall, and interesting to see what they're putting out. And I'm hoping this is material for a reason. I hope it's not just, hey, we had these scripts, we need something on Disney Plus that's Star Wars related. Why don't we just finish these up and stick these out the door? I'm hoping this is a pattern where we're seeing, hey, we want to do more with Ahsoka, but we don't think 3 episodes is enough.
Mhm.
What else we have going on? Oh, we're talking about some Sith stuff coming up. Let's do some. These characters can get more depth. I hope we get more of that. I hope it means something for the future. I need Star Wars to roll. I mean, they've had friggin' MCU rolling like a giant stone down a hill, you know, but barely getting anything out of Star Wars, just like creaking along.
Sure.
So I know other people are like, it makes it a special when it's once every 10
No.
years. No,
Yeah, we
give
don't live
give
in
me
that
a
world
give me a new
anymore. No,
series
let's be
every
honest.
week of the
We don't
year.
live in that world anymore.
No, give me a new series every week of the year. That's good for me. Like, yeah, great, give it to me.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay. So, all right, Mike, where can everybody find us to give us their ideas of what Disney should do next with Star Wars?
As usual, all over the internet at Heroes Peak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and hit that bell in the corner to get notifications.
Please leave a comment. Leave
Hi,
a comment. You have
leave a
any
comment.
questions, concerns, you disagree with Mike, you don't always agree with me, so you're good. You disagree with Chris, please comment. Say so.
I got to figure out how to fill this space. Look at all this empty space right here. I got to fill that
He's in a watchtower over
right
there.
up. That's right. That's right. All right.
All
We'll
right.
see you guys next week. Have a great time. Later.
Good night.